Esteemed audience, thank you for tuning in to yet another amazing episode of the Great Debaters Contest, where we give you the best of high school debates in the country. This is season 9 of Rift Valley Region, Nandi County, the semi-final. I am your host, Chris Boro.
And I am Esperancia Kapanga. In today's debate, the determining motion is individual apathy is the greatest threat to our climate.
In the proposition, we have Chesamisi High School.
And in the opposition, we have St. Joseph Boys Kitale. Proposer number 1, you have 3 minutes to make your statement.
My name is Changeyo Duncan Kiprop from Chesamisi High School. And I am here to propose the motion that says individual apathy is the greatest threat to our climate. Individual apathy. What is apathy? Apathy is the carelessness or lack of interest of an individual over something. And climate is the average weather condition of a place over a long period of time between 30 to 35 years. The news that the mortal threat of global warming being treated with a yawn by people in the world may shock you. Scientists are sure day in, day out that the future is catastrophic, and it is sad that it is coming sooner than we expected. The government has taken this on board, but the citizens have not. Despite NEMA placing a ban on the use of plastic bags, some businessmen, some vendors are still smuggling these plastic bags from our neighboring countries. There is a case in Kimilili, Bungoma County, where a man who was pretending to be mad was found with 1,000 plastic bags. He was also found in a possession of 275 shillings. Now tell me, where can a madman get all this money from? This madman is smuggling these plastic bags with lack of interest of what the effect of these plastic bags may bring. When these plastic bags are disposed, they do not decompose easily. And they are carried by our rivers. Remember, the rivers are the heartbeat of our lakes and oceans. And when these plastic bags are disposed to the rivers, they block air circulation, and plants like coral reefs do not get enough air. And these plants are the ones that provide food for the aquatic life. And at this rate, if this continues, in the future, the aquatic life will be extinct. They say, dams and other water reservoirs are known to conserve the environment. Definitely, if we don't have a good environment over a long period of time, we will not have a good climate. Money is set aside, for example, in our country, Kenya. Money is set aside for the maintenance and the construction of these dams. But this money ends in the pockets of a few people who do not appreciate the environment, who do not care about the future of this country. Let's say this world, if we continue embezzling funds that are meant to maintain the dams. Remember, the dams are used in case there is flooding. These dams will help regulate flooding of the lakes and the oceans. And if we continue to embezzle these funds, there will be flooding, and it is automatic that this excess water will cause soil erosion in future. I agree with you that there are other threats to the environment, but remember, individual apathy is the greatest of them all. Thank you.
First proposer, you have 3 minutes to make your submissions.
For over the past years, our environment has been facing major challenges, and it is a global call to counter these challenges facing our environment. But the United Nations stood and said, in order to counter these challenges facing our environment, we are going to go down to the main and the causes and the factors affecting our climate. The motion on the table, individual apathy, is And I repeat, individual apathy is the main threat to our climate. Individual apathy is the absence of interest or concern about something by a person. And climate is the weather conditions prevailing in an area in general. That's according to www.ac.uk. Individual apathy. In our world today, according to www.nationalgeographic.com, and a research done by Kent State University state that humans contribute to only a quarter. They affect only a quarter of our climate. What are these other factors? What comprises of this major 3/4 part that faces our climate? They are the natural factors. These are the factors that affect our climate. Our climate, which is the weather conditions. And I repeat, weather conditions are affected by factors such as shape of land. For example, in North of America, according to sciencing.com, there have been varying rainfall. Why? Because of the shape of land. This affects the climate of the place day in, day out, and it is not individual apathy. And these natural factors are not at our control. We cannot control these natural factors because we are human beings. And that's why individual apathy is not the main threat to our climate. And again, in Venice, Italy, according to www.climateandweather.com, the area has been affected by also shape of land, a natural factor. So, this 3/4% is what affects our climate most, and that is what we, each and every person, should come together to face it so that we can save our environment. This affecting our climate. We can counter these threats to our climate. Why? Through which means? Through facing this greater part, which is not individual apathy. Usonga James, St. Joseph's.
Second proposal, you have 3 minutes for cross-examination.
I'd be stunned, shocked, and amazed if there was a single human being in the planet in the year 2030. A famous quote by Guy R. Macpherson. Now, individual apathy is the greatest threat to our climate. The world will not cease to undergo climate change because we do not have time to think about it until the polar caps, well, they have vanished. On to my first point, increased urbanization and industrialization in the world. Let's walk down this aisle. The term Nairobi is a Maasai word. What does it mean? A place of cool waters. But remember, calling a tail a leg doesn't necessarily make it a leg. Nairobi is no longer cool. Why? There is a lot of sewage and oil spillage. Industrial waste is being dumped into the water. Nairobi River is slowly drying up. Women who have undergone abortion dump their fetus there. They block all pipes taking water to people. Do we really want to turn Nairobi into a desert? I presume not. Let's take another example. The construction of Mwale City in Butere, Kakamega County. These private investors are only interested in modernization. They are forgetting and putting the expense of trees at their own disposal, which will eventually lead to desertification. Why do we want our own country to be an arid area? Now, let's walk down to Ken Poly. It emits chlorofluorocarbons, which combine with water to release acid rain. Now, this will kill all plant life. And we all know that plant life will and enables and acts as water catchment areas. Do we really want to stop having rain in our countries? Now, let's go to our second point. Negligence by oil companies in environmental conservation is a major setback. Recently in Citizen TV, they unearthed Kiboko oil spillage in Makueni County, which has led to long-term effects on soil, water, people, and eventually the climate. Kiboko village trees are drying up. KPLC is doing little about it. That's why the Makueni governor, Kivuta Kibwana, has threatened to sue the company in case they don't do something about it. Now, as I leave you with a quote. Mark Twain once said, "Climate is what we expect, weather is what we get." David Shikuku, Chesamisi High School.
Second opposer, you have 3 minutes for rebuttal.
On 20th April 2019, Richard Clive documented a program. Man is not the problem, but man needs the solution at the Nagio world. Now, the main question was, what does it mean and why is this being documented? Now, Richard Clive stated it very well, that only a quarter of the climate is affected through human inversion. Now, we are talking about climate, not that well, not the environment. Now, if you are talking about climate, what does a man being caught with paper bags got to do with the climate? Does that mean that being with a paper bag will affect the climate in our country? No, get it right. Now, what does that man do with the climate? Now, if you look at this, the 3/4 of the natural calamities that are affecting our climate include variation in the sun's energy reaching Earth. Now, to your information, let me tell you, according to the www.eds.com, it stated very well that the Earth's orbit is ellipse in shape, not circular. Get it right. Now, this means that if the orbit is ellipse, it is not a perfect circle. This means that there comes a time when the distance between the sun and the earth is very close, and at other times very far away. But when it is very close, it brings in warm climatic condition in the earth, and this causes global warming. Now, we are talking about climate. When global warming is caused by this, does that got to do with any human invasion? Get it right. We are talking about natural calamities. We are talking about oceans. Do you know that oceans absorb carbon dioxide from the atmosphere? Did you know that? That was documented by the BBC Weather News, and it stated it very well that when the ocean absorbs the carbon dioxide from the atmosphere, it brings in that aspect that there shall be the carbon dioxide will become warm, and when it leaves the ocean going to the atmosphere, it brings in a sense of global warming. Does this got to do with anything doing with human invasion? Get this. We are talking about weather and not in the environment. And we are talking about individual apathy. Yes, we are talking about individual apathy. I hope you got that right. If that 6% more carbon dioxide is found in the oceans rather than the atmosphere, tell me, yes, the carbon dioxide that the human beings bring in, don't you know that there is the UNE program? The UNE program promotes the planting of trees in our country and even in the whole world. Do you know that? Do you know that planting of trees reduces the amount of carbon dioxide from the atmosphere? Do you know that? Yes, I hope you know that. And because of this UNE program, this means that the amount of carbon dioxide is reducing from the atmosphere. We are trying to make this world a better place to live in. We are talking about climate and not the environment. Whatever human being is trying to do, we are trying to improve. If that means a quarter, what about the rest of 3/4? Yes, get this right from me, that the human being is trying to bring this world to a better place to live in. We are not talking about environment, but you're talking about the weather. This weather is what we're talking about. From the St. Joseph's Boys High School is your future advocate, Kimani Eric Ngao.
The proposition has been asked, In as much as they say that human beings are the biggest threat to climate change, what about organizations such as United Nations Environment Programme, which actually champion for preservation of current climate conditions? What do they have to say about such? The opposers have been asked, are the emissions from vehicles and industries comparable to the natural sources that are saying are the main cause of climate change currently? That proposer, you have 3 minutes to respond.
Thank you very much, my sister from the Singora School, for asking me that simple question. As a matter of fact, I'm very much privileged to be the one answering the question. Now, the organizations which they are tending to plant these trees so that they may curb the climate factor. Remember that they're the same organizations that are cutting them. An example is when the Mau forest was banned from being cut, and the ban was lifted up to 5 years. So what are they waiting for? They're waiting for these trees to grow to the standard that they want them to be used. Then later on, they come, cut them. I hope I've answered your question. Thank you. Now, people have failed in embracing the wise saying that Abraham Lincoln left us when he said that when I do good, I feel good. And when I do bad, I feel bad. And that is my religion. Olga Mutonyi, Chesamisi High School. Now, when these people do bad things, they tend as if they don't feel anything. And by pretending that they don't want to care for this may curb to loss of many great natural resources. Examples are when these people have greed for power, greed for wealth, that they go to the extent of having our natural resources, such as the forests, being cut for their beneficial use. This leads to one thing, desertification. And an example is when the Indian Ocean is being harvested of their sand. When this sand is being harvested, it decreases the seabed water level. When this seabed water level is being decreased, the onshore winds affecting the rate at which the rainfall is coming on the land is going to be greatly affected. By saying greatly affected, I do not mean that it is going to bring more rain. No. This is going to decrease the rate at which rainfall is being formed. And that will lead to one thing. We all know. This thing will lead to the drying up of those water harbors. Kenya, we are proud to have many prides, examples of the water oceans. And if these things, they go away, what will we say? So you see, the greatness at which our climate is being affected is when we people tend to be ignorant. We tend to reject. And when I hear my fellows here saying that the natural factors are the greatest cause, I don't know which one is the greatest. They tend telling me of the ozone layers. They tend telling me of the rainfall, the winds. So my greatest question to them is, which one is the greatest of them all? As we all know, it is one. And that is our negligence. Now on to my second point. People in the Rift Valley and the western regions, they have a tendency of planting one crop. And by them keep on growing and planting this one crop, they tend to lose the soil fertility. They run to fertilizers. The fertilizers grow, yeah, but then they tend to buy the pesticides. The pesticides that they buy are being filled with some gases. So these gases are affecting our climate, and we must not stand here pretending and giving a blunt eye. So please join me in saying that individual apathy is the greatest. Thank you.
Third opposer, you have 3 minutes to respond to your question.
Then it is comparable, but not yet. Look at this instance whereby cars, we have modern cars, we have industries that are using incinerators. They are promoting not degradation in our country, but development. And we are talking about climate change. We are not talking about environmental degradation. Look, you asked a question. In geography, courtesy of my teacher, Mr. Geoffrey Ongole, he taught me there are only two factors human factors and natural factors. Look at this instance. From Kiribati, Kerala, West Pokot, Wajir, and to the sophisticated Nairobi. Look at this instance. They are being faced with natural calamities, wildfires, and hurricanes in Nauri. Then you tell us about individual apathy. And I can ask you a question. Look at this instance whereby the person who created SDG goal number 13, he was a human. Is he promoting individual apathy or is he reducing it to our climate threat? He is reducing it. Look at this another instance. Afghanistan is being faced by drought. This is because of natural calamities. Look at this. Natural calamity, it's bringing up the climatical change in Afghanistan. This is because Afghanistan, they do not have, even the people in Afghanistan, they are not bringing out that sense that they are going to face. Because they are facing insecurity. How are they bringing out individual apathy? Look at this another instance. The cane poly industry, you talked about the cane poly industry. Recently, the cane poly industry have been charged. This is because of promoting. They are promoting individual apathy. But look, what did the government do? The government themselves, they charged them and they brought out the sense that they are now using incinerators. Are the people in the government are not people? Are they not people? They are promoting individual. They are degrading the individual apathy. Look at this another instance. Humans who are creating awareness, they are people. They are not promoting individual apathy. And I can tell you the manner calls of which us ourselves we are facing. The segregation and the sadly crippled Africans. What we are facing is not individual apathy. We are not facing calamities because of individual apathy. It is the climatical change. And if you see this climatical change, natural disasters is causing it. And I can give you an example. Wildfire in Nauri. I bet you don't know about that. Look at this. Wildfire in Nauri. What did it cost? 110 people died. This is because of wildfire. It was not created by any person. It was a natural factor. And the wildfire in Nauri, do you know what it cost to Nauri? Today Nauri is still in desertification. They are facing desertification and their climate is degrading. If truly my mentor could be a PLO, he could have told you, as waves pushes waves, so as to launch the sea. Then, young blood plus new blood pushes the old blood, so as to renew us ourselves from the alien cultures of saying individual apathy. It's the main cause to climate change.
Proposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
A wise man, Tom Brokaw, once said, "You will not solve global climate change by hitting the delete button." Now, you have talked about man not being the problem. I agree. He is not the problem. He causes the problem. Now, according to Isaac Asimov's book, Digital versus Dial, it says times are changing. These are not the times where we expected natural factors to decrease or to bring about climate change. These are the times where we ourselves promote climate change. You see, different people are not interested in what is happening. They don't care about what is happening in the climate. I bet there are a lot of people who don't know what even global warming is, and they don't even want to know. Now, you have said about oceans emitting carbon dioxide. Show me an ocean that emits carbon dioxide. I'll show you a bus and students waiting to go home with their buses emitting carbon monoxide. Our sources have been KLB Geography, page 92 and 93, and the Daily Nation website. Thank you.
Opposers, you have 1 minute to make a final submission.
There comes a time when each and every person should embrace understanding. The motion is about individual apathy is the main threat to our climate, to our first and second opponents. Understand the motion. It is about climate, not environment. You said man is not the problem. Yes, man is not the problem. That's what we advocate. Man is finding the solutions to this problem facing our climate. And that's why we have the United Nations Environmental Program, UNEP. Then you said that forests have been cleared. Tell us the statistics, your source of information. How many forests have been cleared in this world? How many? Then you said sand is being harvested. Tell us the source of information. Tell us where in particular is this sand harvested. And you told us to join you. No, I refuse to join you and stand to rise to the United Nations and say, as the waves pushes wave to nourish the sea, then new blood plus young blood must push old blood to nourish the society by facing these challenges facing our climate. Usonga James, St. Joseph's.
Chesamisi, yes. I think the team, that was well done. I would say that. Nonetheless, there was a bit of laxity in some areas. David, for example, I felt like you made some stray statements about even Nairobi River, what's happening, what's blocking it. I mean, honestly, do you mean that there are only fetuses all the way? I mean, you don't want to just make stray statements. You want to come and validate these things, all right? There is more pollution than what you said. To the other team as well, and that's why I'm saying generally I was not very impressed with the motion, and my expectations were not met as well. I mean, Kimani, I think you stood out. That was okay, but I think it was Joseph who brought in the element of, Wesonga who brought in the element of natural factors. So when you bring the natural factors, define and go down to the details. I don't have much to say. Sometimes when you don't have much to say is because you didn't have much given to you. All right, that tells us a bit of research was expected. But all the best to both teams.
In this semi-final debate, St. Joseph Boys Kitale, the judges awarded you 69.3%. Let's give them a round of applause. Chesamisi High School, the judges awarded you 69.5%, making you the winners of this debate. Congratulations to both schools, because clearly it was a very close run.
Indeed, and that's all from us here at the Great Debaters Contest today. Mahatma Gandhi once said we should be the change we seek. Any other Great Debaters Contest, we are championing for that change by encouraging each and every school to implement at least one sustainable development goal so as to bring change in the country. At least until the next episode, I've been your host, Chris Boro.
And now I'm Esperanza Kapanga. See you in the finals.